Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Keep It Fictional from the Port Moody Public Library. My name is Sadie, and I am very excited to talk about our theme for today. We are going to be talking all about books that involve a heist. So think your best Ocean's 11, your best Italian Job, your best Catch Me If You Can related books. Go back and think about your favorite heists. But I'm not doing this all by myself. I have some lovely colleagues here to talk heist books with me today. So we have Virginia joining us today. Hello, Virginia.
Hello.
And we have Corene joining us today. Hello, Corene.
Technically, if you're on a heist, it's a crew.
It's a crew.
No, my crew. I
Your
like
crew.
it. Yeah, my heist crew. So before we get into our books, I'm curious. I'm going to ask both of my crewmates today. What draws you to a book with a heist? Corene, let's start with you.
I think what is one of the super appealing parts about a heist is that it is essentially, in some ways, a victimless crime. So, there is obviously a victim because someone is stealing something, as is the definition of a heist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like when someone steals a whole bunch of diamonds and you're kind of like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like the person can probably afford it. Like it's a loss, but it's not devastating. Like a heist, I think as traditionally done is usually stealing from someone who's got a lot of stuff. Like a museum or an insurance company or like a very famous jeweler. So you're kind of like Robin Hooding it a little bit. And I think that's the appeal, is that you're kind of taking from the haves and maybe distributing it to the have-nots.
And turning yourself into a half?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's upward social movement. It's got everything you want. Yeah, I think it's like the Robin Hood appeal to it.
Okay. Virginia, do you agree with that? Is that also
No.
what draws you to heist?
I think probably it's almost like, well, there's two things. First of all, it's always like our crew, like it's a group of people, that all have their own specialties and skills, and that's always fun, to see all the different characters put together in a group. The other thing I think I really like is when it is such a smart plan and you're like being tricked by the plan and you're actually happy that you get tricked. You're just like how did you do it? And it's nice to get tricked every now and then by a really good heist, and you just can't help but like, oh yeah, I'll give you that. That's so good. So
Yeah, I think that same is what I really like about them. That the reveals upon reveals upon reveals, and you're never sure until that last second what actually was planned and what actually went the way that it was supposed to, or what didn't. And I love that about it.
It's a little bit like a magic trick, right? Like a good heist is about misdirection. It's about making you look where you want to look or make the assumptions that you want to make. And then at the end, it's like the revealing of the magician's trick, like how they actually did it.
Yes. Everybody loves a little bit of magic. Or at least I love a little bit of magic.
As we've discovered, it's just you.
Yes.
It's just you.
It's just me. All right, that's fine. So if you are watching this and you want to let us know what draws you to a heist book, you can always comment on our video or send us an email. We'd love to hear from the people who are listening and who are watching as well. But now it is time for us to get into the books, talking all things heist books. So I am going to start, and I'm going to hand it over to Virginia to talk about your first heist book.
all right. So my first book is what am I doing here? My first book is called The Everything Box by Richard Kadrey. And just like Sadie said, all our books just contains a little bit of magic, just a little bit here. So Richard Kadri is the author of the Sandman Slim series, so you might have heard about him from that, a really, really fun urban fantasy series. And I would say the Everything Box is a new series by him, and I would say it's almost funner. That's not a word, but whatever. It's more fun, funnier also, I think. So when the book opens, we meet an angel. This is 4,000 years ago, and an angel is standing atop a mountain, surveying down, looking down at these puny little humans, doing what puny little humans do. And he laughed because they didn't realize whatever they're doing is pointless, because in a few minutes, he is going to wipe humanity off the earth. And he's so excited because finally he get a task. And he know that once he complete this task, he's going to move up that ladder. Because as this one puny little human said to him one time, when they asked him, "Oh, are you the angel of death?" And he said, "Oh, no, that's not me. But in heaven, I am the celestial that bears the great golden quills, the silver chroma, and the holy vellums upon which the Lord God inscribes the fate of the universe." And he remembers this human stared at him and he said, "So you're in charge of office supplies. So you're the angel of office supplies?" Well, look who is laughing now, because your angel is going to destroy you all. And so he realized it's time, and he reached into his right pocket to try to get his doomsday device, and he realized, wait, no, it's in the left pocket. So he reached into his left pocket and he realized, crap, I lost it. It's not on me at all. Fast forward 4,000 years later, in Los Angeles, humans are still well and alive, and we meet Coop. Coop is a master thief. He is very, very good at stealing things. And people hire him because of his magical ability. He is immune to magic. So any locks, any lockers, any vaults, any safes that are magically protected or that are cursed means nothing to him. He can get into all of these safes, not a problem. But right now he's in jail because his magical ability cannot protect him from partners that rat him out. So he's stuck in jail, but then he's told, wait, there's a Mr. Babylon, and Mr. Babylon is going to pay your bail and let you out. Because Mr. Babylon would like you to steal something for him. He would like you to steal this box. Doesn't know what it is, but there's a box that he needs to steal. And so Coop planned this like elaborate heist and managed to steal this box and give it to Mr. Babylon. And right when he thought he got away with it all, he was stopped and taken in by the Department of Peculiar Science, which is a secret government department that is in charge of all things magic. And they tell him that he has just stolen a doomsday device and that he needs to go back and steal it back from Mr. Babylon. So now he has to plan yet another heist to get this back. And in the meantime, everyone, except Coop probably, everyone wants to get a hold of this box, including two doomsday cults who are trying to race against each other in order to get a hold of this box and set off the apocalypse before the other cult does. So as you can tell from the book, it is a fun, light, funny read, full of one-liners, laugh out loud, hilarious, fast-paced, entertaining. Think Men in Black, a little bit Men in Black, a little bit Christopher Moore, and you get like, the Everything Box. So if you want something, just a fun heist, that is funny, check out The Everything Box by Richard Kadri.
That sounds absolutely wonderful.
So good. Like, who among us has not misplaced our doomsday device?
Right?
Right?
Like you think you put it somewhere, you think you put it somewhere else. It's just
Someone moves it, puts it in a box.
Yes, it's a little embarrassing, but we've all been there. We have all been there. I feel like this category, especially because I love heist books. I'm going to finish with a very big to-read list. To add to that, we are next going to go to Corene and see what your first heist book you have for us today.
Yes, and I think this is one that is essentially right up your alley, Sadie. So this is about Katerina Bishop. And Katerina Bishop comes from a family. They like to take fun vacations. They jet set all over the world. When she was 3 years old, her parents took her on a beautiful trip to the Louvre to case it out. When she was 7 years old, her sweet, gentle Uncle Eddie decided to take her on a big trip to Austria to steal the crown jewels. And when she was 15, Katrina finally decided to plan her own heist, and that was to steal back her own life. Katerina wants to be like the other girls. She doesn't want to be special. She doesn't want to steal things. She wants to take pop quizzes and get acne and pay for things and eat in a cafeteria. She just wants a boring, basic life. But if we know anything about the family, they keep drawing you back in again. So Katerina has scammed her way into one of the most prestigious boarding schools in the United States. And unfortunately, her perfect con is interrupted by an old friend, W. Hale Jr. the Seventh, or something like that, who is a rich boy who just enjoys hanging around with thieves. And he essentially steals Katerina's life by getting her expelled from this boarding school and bringing her back to the family. Now, he is not just doing that for his own amusement, although that is usually the thing that he is doing. He does it because her family is in trouble. 5 priceless paintings have gone missing from Arturo Taccone. Everyone knows stealing from Taccone is a no-no because the last people who do usually end up dead. These 5 paintings are gone, vanished. However, it has all the earmarks of a very famous art thief that is well known in the criminal syndicate, Katerina's father. So, unless she can track down the 5 paintings and steal them back, it is likely that her family will have to pay. So, for one last time, Katerina is going to get dragged into the family business and try and save them all. So this book is Heist Society by Ali Carter. Ali Carter is the author of the Gallagher Girls YA series. This is the first in a 3-part society, Heist Society being the first of them. All 3 of them are very, very like classic Ocean 11 heist. And sometimes I think like a heist is hard to pull off in a book because you do need that like 3rd act reveal of how it all went down. And somehow during all 3 of these books, they managed to surprise me. So if you are looking for just like a classic heist that is very funny, very tongue-in-cheek, I would heartily recommend this series.
That also sounds absolutely wonderful. I feel like all of these books make me want to be in a heist, make me want to like be a part of a heist. It's a safe, non-dangerous heist, but it's some sort of heist.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on you.
Also maybe just me. That's okay. All right. So the book that I am going to be talking about is 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is part of a YA fantasy series. It is the first book of a sort of the second series within a world that Leigh Bardugo has created called the Grisha-verse. And this book revolves around the character of Kaz Brecker. And Kaz Brecker is the leader of the gang called the Dregs. And they are one of the most notorious gangs in the fantasy city called Ketterdam. Now, he has earned a name for himself. He is a criminal prodigy who will pretty much take on any job as long as it has the potential to at least make him some money. So one day, Kaz is taken aside. Someone gets the drop on him and captures him and brings him before wealthy merchant Jan van Eyck. And Jan van Eyck tells him about a drug. And it's a new drug that's been created called Jurda Parum. And when this drug is given to a Grisha, who is somebody who has magical abilities, the drug enhances their powers and makes them kind of unstoppable. However, it is a very addictive drug, and if it is given to a non-Grisha, it will kill them instantly. The drug was created by scientist Bo Yul Bayar, and he was worried that his government, he's from the country of Shuhan, and he's worried that his government was going to take the drug and use it for military purposes. And so he contacted the city and the country of Kerch, which is where Ketterdam is, and he asked them to protect him and protect the drug to make sure that it was not used for military purposes. They did agree to do this, but before that could happen, Bo Yul Bayar was captured and taken to the impenetrable ice court. And this is a fortress in the country of Fjerda, and no one has ever been able to get out of it or into it if they did not want you to. So Kaz's job is really quite simple. He just has to break into the ice court, the most secure fortress ever. He has to rescue Bo Yul Bayar, and he has to bring him back alive to Jan van Eyck. If he succeeds, he will be given more money than he can ever imagine. All he has to do is complete the most dangerous and impossible heist that he has ever been offered. So of course, Kaz agrees to take the job. So he assembles a crew. There's 6 of them. He has his greatest spy, Inej, his sharpshooter, Jesper, an explosive expert, Wylan, Grisha heartrender named Nina, and a convict from the country of Fjerda named Matthias. Now, Matthias is the only one who has actually been in the ice court, so they're hoping that he is going to help them get in and out of it. Everyone on this team has an ability that's going to help them in the heist, but every person on this team also has quite a few secrets, and these secrets could definitely cause everything to blow up in their faces. So the story kind of follows their journey. They are known as the Six of Crows as they travel to Fjerda and attempt this heist. Along the way, they face enemies within the group as well as outside of the group, and they have to keep fighting past those in order to win this big prize. As I said, what I love about heist books is all of the reveals and all of the twists and surprises, and this book has so many of them, so many of them. The moment when you get kind of the big reveal and you realize that that's how it was supposed to go, or maybe that's not how it was supposed to go, or it just has you questioning. And as Virginia says, that them being able to trick you. And I think Bardugo does a really good job of being able to trick the reader in this so that they have no idea what is actually planned and what is not planned. There are double crossings and double crossings. At the end, all the reveals still have you asking yourself, was that supposed to happen? Is that how it was supposed to go down? It is full of strong characters. It is full of action. If you're looking for a fantasy heist, this is a great one. It does have dark parts to it, but it's also, there are lighthearted bits to it. The characters are funny and well written, and it is a wonderful book and a wonderful series as well.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Now, the Grishaverse is being turned into a Netflix series, if memory serves, but not starting with these books, with the other.
I have yet to figure out exactly. I am a huge fan of the entire Grishaverse, so I've looked into this quite a bit. There are characters from both the Six of Crows series and the original Shadow and Bone series in the Netflix series. So I'm not exactly sure how the two stories are going to mix together in the series. They take place in 2 different timelines. There's not a huge difference between the 2 of them, but I think Six of Crows takes place a few years after the end of the Shadow and Bone series. So whether they're going to have them sharing that same timeline or if they're going to have two separate stories, I'm really not too sure. So I'm very curious to find out what is going to happen and how they're kind of gonna play with that. Excellent. Well, during our Keep It Fictional book chats, we always like to pose an existential question to our librarians. Yeah, lots of head shaking. This is the worst part, I think, for a lot of us of these book chats. It always makes us question our beliefs, question our lives, and our very selves in these answers. So I have prepared a bit of a longer version of this. We are going to play a game of Would You Rather. So in this game, I'm going to give you two things, and you're going to tell me which one you would rather have or have not. And they're all book related. Yeah, I can tell you're both very excited about this from the expressions on your
thrilled,
faces.
so excited, not breaking out into a cold sweat, not getting that like weight in the bottom of my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
This is fine. This is
it's
fine.
Good.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring it
okay.
on. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Question number one. Would you rather have a friend who loses your books or one who dog ears your books?
Losers.
Oh.
Losers.
Are they really
I don't
your
want a dog
friend?
ear book back.
Dog earing them. Who does that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, how do you lose a book, though? How do you lose a book? It's an object. This is not the memory police.
You could leave it on the SkyTrain.
Okay, I'm going to say lose because the idea of like dog earing them implies that at some point they like licked their fingers for some reason in my head. So yeah.
All right. So you would both rather never see the book again.
I can always buy it again.
But, okay.
Yeah. Or make them buy it again.
There you go.
Then you get it. You can get it another copy. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Question number 2. Would you rather read a book with the beginning missing or read a book with the end missing? So would you rather have to come into a book halfway through and not know what's happening or not be able to know how a book ended?
Actually, this one is pretty easy for me. I would definitely be fine with missing the beginning just because usually the way that I watch television is there's something on downstairs and I'll just kind of like wander in and sit down and like I've read and seen enough that I can usually pick out the narrative clues that I'm like, okay, yeah, I can figure this out.
All right.
But if there's no ending, like that would be quite upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Virginia?
Okay.
I'm okay with missing the ending. You know me and ending.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because then I can just make it up.
And end it the way that you would like it to be ended.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would never be disappointing because I'm just gonna make it up whatever way I want it to end. So I'm okay with missing the ending.
I do think
usually
that
are
we've had.
Disappointing.
I do think that we've also had the discussion where an ending can make or break a book for me. And I remember talking with Virginia about this, and that's does not work the same.
Yep.
Nope. Okay. Okay. Question number 3. Would you rather read only one book in a year and remember everything, or read 100 books and remember nothing?
100 books and remember nothing, which is what happened now anyway.
That's just
my reality.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't need to remember everything about a book. I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Because I get to read 100 of them. I'm good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And like usually what you remember out of a book is like how it made you feel. So
Okay, yeah.
if I don't remember the specific details, that's fine. That's what like a list is for.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah.
What about you, Sadie?
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree. Yeah. Because like Virginia said, I don't think I remember all of the small details of the books I'm reading now anyways, so.
I guess unless I was like studying for something and I was able to memorize like an entire textbook, that would be very handy.
True. That would be.
Yeah.
But that would make school very difficult if it could be only one book in the whole year. You'd have to pick the subject and the assignment that you really cared about.
Or you do like 100 assignment on the same thing.
Or just carefully take all the textbooks apart and like glue them together into one mega book.
Okay, all right. There's ways around this. All right. Question number 4. Would you rather secretly love a book that everyone else hates or hate a book that everyone else loves?
I'm pretty sure both apply to me again right now.
I feel like I've been on both ends of it.
Yeah. Is it both of them a secret? Like you?
Both of them are a secret.
So basically, like everybody say you love a book and you just won't tell them that you don't like it, kind of thing.
I think it would be very hard to keep the opinion to oneself if you really hated it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think that if I was like preferring something, I would be okay with loving a book that everyone hated, because clearly I loved the book and I'm okay with it, and it would be okay that everyone else hated it so long as I was like happy with it.
Yeah,
because it's no fun to hate a book. It's always like a disappointment. To hate a book is to be disappointed by it. So I'd rather love a book and have an unpopular opinion.
But it's secret anyway, so nobody would know.
That's true. There's no skin in this game.
That's true.
Yeah. Might as well find a book that I like.
Yeah. Virginia, you agree?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Like I said, I can picture so many books that I like that no one likes, so it's kind of
your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Sadie?
Yeah, I think so as well. Because like you said, Corene, you at least have that enjoyment of the book, whereas if you hate a book that everyone loves, you don't understand why everyone loves it. You don't have enjoyment in that. But at least if you like the book, then.
But I feel like if there's a book that makes you love or hate it, like strong feelings, right? Then I feel like it's still doing something to you. You know, it's the worst kind of the ones that makes you feel nothing. You're just like, whatever. Like, you're so like, right? But I think the ones that, anything that elicit really strong feelings, still kind of thinking about it.
I feel like, at least when it comes to like books or movies, I'll either really like it or I'll hate it. There's very, very few things that I'm ambivalent about. Like, my ambivalence tends to skew towards hate.
But there's some that are just so non-offensive, like the non-offensive ones. They're just there.
I guess like my thing is always like, well, then why couldn't you be better? You failed yourself. You failed everyone involved. You failed me as a reader. You could have tried harder and done better.
Yeah, but that's for you though, right? Because there might be other readers who like it being just nice and
milquetoast,
predictable, and just, like, yeah.
They're wrong. This is why I'm not a book editor.
As predicted, our conversations about books can get rather heated, as you can see. So I have one final question before we move on to discuss our second heist books today. I know where I stand very firmly on this. I think everyone else probably knows where I stand very firmly on this as well. Would you rather only read classics for the rest of your life or YA novels for the rest of your life?
What kind of question is that?
The Sadie question.
Sadie question.
Okay. I mean, the bench post of what is a classic is constantly changing and evolving.
Fair.
You're talking about like the like what everybody considers to
classics.
Be a classic. Like,
I don't hate YA, but there are some times when I get a little bit of tired of it. I need a little break. So I'm actually gonna say, and this is a hard one for me to admit out loud, classics.
Okay.
It's recorded.
Yeah, can't go back. You can't go back now.
We can edit this out.
Nah, no.
Maybe it's just because I'm in a bit of a slump with regards to YA, and that I've read a couple that I just did not care for. But I mean, with the classic,
tell us about those ones later.
I know. I was going to say,
not
I
right now,
know.
but later.
I have some opinions.
I like to know.
But I mean, at least with the classics, like you have the entirety of world literature available to you from like the beginning up to whenever your definition of a classic is. So there's so much variety and there's so much out there that I think you could be very easily satisfied with jumping around between different classics. So I'm going to go with that because there's more variety. And in YA, there's very little true crime. So,
all right, fair enough. Virginia,
I'm gonna go with YA only because I read enough classics in my university life. So I feel like the ones that I need to read, I've read it. So I'm gonna stick with the YA. That won't grow, but YA, there's hope. There's hope that there will be.
There's always good stuff in YA. There's always good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with YA because that will grow, whereas the classics is like
contained. Yeah, and I think everyone knows that I would definitely pick YA.
Absolutely.
Having read, I mean, I would have a lot to pull from the classics, considering I have not read a lot of them. But I am a YA book lover, and I can understand getting sick with that genre. I can, and kind of becoming disillusioned with some of the books that come out of it if you have not been successful in the last couple reads. But I find that I continue to gravitate towards YA books. So
especially when your question is you can only read, right? So definitely
That's
YA because there's
still
lots to come.
There's so much coming. I just feel like, no, I'm not going to defend it. YA is great. I'm not saying that it's not.
No.
I'm not saying that it's not. I think
it's all good. It's recorded. Corene, don't worry about it.
YA is a great genre and there's so much going on in it. I feel so bad.
Well, as we allow Corene to come to terms with the choice that she has just made, I am going to switch over back to Virginia and let her tell you about her next heist book that she is going to talk about today.
It's hard to get back to talking about books once we did whatever we just did. But anyway, my second heist book is called Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is a first book in a trilogy, the Founders trilogy, and it is another fantasy, but it is not the kind of fantasy that you think about where it happens in these like medieval world, like the high fantasy, that kind of thing. I would say this is almost like it happens in more like an industrial kind of world where there's magic in it, and so a little bit more like almost like a cyberpunk novel. It's like bring down the big corporations type kind of magical novel, fantasy novel. So, and the best thing I think about the book is it's got a good plot and a good heist, but it's definitely the world building. I love the world building that this particular author does, and so in this world, humans have discovered a magical language called scriving. And what they do is that, like, with all the objects in the world, with scriving, you can basically put like coding, and you can see why I love this so much. It's like you put a code, you give an object and instructions, and that will help change the way it interacts with the laws of physics and interact with reality. And it will change sometimes even the nature of the object. So for example, you made a wheel, and when the wheel is sit on like a flat, even surface, it's just going to stay stationary. It won't move. But when you use scriving to give it instruction, you can basically convince the wheel that it is sitting on a slope. So the wheel is like, oh, I'm on a slope. I guess I should start rolling and I should start going down. So with this magic language that the world has now, a lot of technology can happen, a lot of advances can happen, and they no longer need a lot of things and do things the hard way, because everything is a little easier. And in this world, much like our world, there are 4 giant big merchant houses that basically control all the scribing in this world, and they are the ones who have the ability to have this code, and they make everything, so you basically have to get everything from them. And with the coding and the programming, they basically they try to steal it from each other to try to maintain that monopoly. And outside the 4 merchant houses is the Foundryside. It's the slum. It's where we found our main character, Sanchia, who, due to something that happens when she was a child, she has this ability to touch something, anything, and she could feel the history behind the thing. She could feel the story. She could know everything about this object, including like if there's a wall, for example, that she's touching, she can feel the cracks, she can feel where there's like holes in it, and she could feel the history. And if the wall has scribing on it, she could hear those instructions. And with that ability, you can imagine, is overwhelming, like whenever she goes, because everything she touches, she could just hear this noise, this constant noise telling her about everything, and it's overwhelming, it's debilitating, and it's really hard on her. And so she wears gloves all the time when she's around. But it also comes in very handy because she's a thief. So every time she touches things, she could tell, like where things have been. She could tell where she can get into places that you think is like a wall, but she can tell that there's spaces that she can get in. And also because she can hear the instructions, she could try to argue with the thing to try to change what the thing believes it is supposed to do, so that with arguing logically with that object, to convince the object to do things. So you can convince a lock to open, for example, to her. So she's using that to help her to survive. And of course, being a thief with this magical ability, one day she was given a job to steal a box. I don't know what is it today with boxes, but there's a lot of boxes. And today there's another box that she's supposed to steal. And after, and it's kept in this warehouse by the dock, and it's like super secure. But because Sancha has her ability, she's able to get in and steal this box. And of course, she was told not to open the box. And, of course, you have to open it and see what it is. And inside, she found a key. And a key, and she takes it out, and it starts talking to her, because she, again, has this ability to communicate. So she starts talking to her. And of course, it turns out that this is a key that comes from way back. It's like it's part of a magical artifact from years and years ago. Came from the same world where all the scribings come from. And so she started to learn more about her world. And of course, this also happens to be the key to world domination. And a lot of the merchant houses is trying to get a hold of this key. And like many heist novels, you end up being stuck in the middle of a plot. And now everyone is after Sancha. Like I said, I think I love the world building in this book. I just love the magic system. Give you like fantasy books that has like a really fun magic system. I think this would be a good fun one for you. So again, this is the Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett.
Wonderful.
Nice.
Same. My to be read list is growing and growing and growing.
Because heist novels are so much fun.
They are.
They're a romp. They're a romp.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Corene, let us know what your second heist novel is.
All right. So my second heist novel has a bit of a broad definition of the word heist. If heist is to steal, then this particular book is about the heist of the capitalistic wealth system. the book that I want to talk about and share is, of course, Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup by John Carreyrou. This is the story of Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. This is written by the initial journalist who broke the story and continued to investigate, even after being kind of like investigated by lawyers and there were subpoenas to stop him. He was the original person who broke this story. So if you're not familiar with the bananas story of Elizabeth Holmes, she came from a wealthy family. She is white, she is blonde, she is kind of presents herself as like the female Steve Jobs. She's got the black turtleneck, she's got a deep voice like this. And essentially she dropped out of Stanford. So I think she had like 2 years of a degree in something. And then essentially came on the market saying that she had invented this box, speaking of boxes, which is the secondary theme of this entire episode, a box that could do a blood test in like 5 seconds and could blood test for everything under the sun. So usually when we go to get blood work done, we have to sit there, we have to get the needle, they have to take a large amount of blood because they need to test it on all of these different things. But with Theranos, all you needed was a tiny little prick of your finger and it could test for every disease known under the sun. So of course, when Wall Street gets a hold of this, everyone is in a tizzy. Silicon Valley is like, she's a revolutionary. This is going to change everything. The company was valued once they sold shares at about $9 billion. It included some very, very high profile investors like Larry Ellison and Tim Draper. She was on the cover of Time magazine. She sat down with Barack Obama to talk about female entrepreneurship. She was the toast of the town. The only problem is that none of it was real. It was a box that no one had actually seen work and technology that didn't exist. Everyone just kind of took her at her word because she had a turtleneck and she was blonde. She has to know what she's talking about. And this company went on for 3 years. Her estimated worth was at $4.7 billion. And this is the story of how it all comes crashing down when reality sets in. This is very much a what happened book. If you're looking for some sort of like analysis or a psychological insight on Elizabeth Holmes herself, you're not going to get it. But all of the kind of like emotion and indignation is going to be supplied by you, the reader, because it is a wild ride. Every page is going to have some sort of revelation that is going to shock and dismay you because it pretty much exposes everything that is wrong with the world in that wealth creates more wealth. Just because you have money, they think that you're smart. If you wear a turtleneck, you can invent anything. It is a rollicking read and I highly recommend it.
That sounds intriguing, I think is the word I would use.
And like I think both Sadie and I are not big, huge nonfiction fans, but this sounds like sounds like a story, like a fairy tale, right? Like, you know, so I think we can probably handle this one.
It defies belief, every page. And what I really like about this book is that it's written very matter-of-factly. Again, there's no insight, there's no speculation. It's just, this is what happened in the words of the people that were there. He's a journalist, so he writes like a journalist. So you get to do the interpretation, and the interpretation is a lot.
It's crazy enough, it just needs the facts.
Oh,
we don't need to make anything up.
Sometimes I'll just be like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I can't sleep, and I'm looking up at the ceiling and going, a box. It was a magic box that no one had seen work ever. And she got $9 billion.
There are those moments where you're reading it and you have to remind yourself that it's not fiction because it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. All right. Well, I am going to take us back into the realm of fiction, back into the realm of fantasy, which is not that surprising once again. And I am going to talk about The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. Now, once I'm done with my overview, I'm very curious because I know that at least one other of us did not make it through this book. So I'm curious as to what maybe two others of us, I'm getting a couple head shakes. So I'm curious to hear the other side of things as well.
And there's only two of us here, so you know who it is.
But there's always a reader for every book, I think we like to say. And so I did enjoy this one. It takes place in a fantasy world. It takes place in the city of Camor, and it follows orphan Locke Lamora. And Locke was taken in by the thief master when he was just a child, and he was trained by a man named Chains to become a thief. Locke becomes part of Chains's gang and is trained in the ways of being a gentleman thief. So this basically means that in all areas of life, in etiquette, in clothing, in education, and in language, they are true gentlemen. However, they are also the smartest and best thieves in the world. So the book follows two timelines. It follows the present day, where Locke is a grown man, and the past, where Locke has just been taken in by Chains. In the present day, Locke is a master of disguise. When he takes on a character in his heists, he truly becomes that person, and no one is able to tell the difference between him and this character that he is taking on. He uses this ability quite a bit in his heists, and the current heist that he is working on, he has stepped into the character of Lucas Fairwright. And Lucas is a noble from the neighboring country of Emberland. As Lucas, Locke approaches Don Lorenzo Salvera and explains that he's a little bit worried that due to the unrest in his country, the brandy that he is very famous for and is currently aging is going to be lost in the crossfire. So he's asking Don Lorenzo to supply him with money, supply him with ships, supply him with crew to transport this brandy to Camor. And if he does this, Fairwright will pay him back tenfold. So this is sort of the heist that Locke is currently working on. He takes on many characters in this heist and is being quite successful in his ventures. Now, in the city of Camor, there's a man named Kappa Barsavi, and he has risen to the top of the crime world. He's very powerful, and all of the gangs, including Locke's, now answer to him. However, rumor has it that someone called the Grey King is actually vying for power. So Locke continues to focus on his own heists. He doesn't really pay attention to what's going on until he is contacted and brought before this person who calls themselves the Grey King. As a master of disguise, Locke has been chosen by the king to pretend to be him in a meeting with Kappa Barsavi. Before the meeting, though, it is discovered that Kappa's daughter, Nazca, has been murdered, and Kappa is fairly sure that it was the Grey King who murdered her. He goes to Locke, and he asks Locke to help him confront this man who has killed his daughter. Locke is in a little bit of a bind now, having promised the Grey King to appear as him in this meeting with Kappa, and also having promised Kappa that he will be in this meeting as his support and representative. So Locke is now stuck in the middle of these two men and having to figure out a way to appease them both while keeping himself and the rest of his gang alive. Thinking about the two books that I have actually talked about today, they actually have a lot of similarities to them, I find. They both kind of have that ragtag gang that holds some renown in the city that they live in. It has the classic heist trope where things are not at all what they seem, and reveals upon reveals upon reveals. The Lies of Locke Lamora, I think, is definitely a darker world the stakes seem a bit higher than Six of Crows. So if you're looking for something that is a bit darker, but still want that heist reveal and that heist trope, this is, I think, a great book for that. But I am legitimately curious what other people found with this one and what people struggled with.
But where's the magic box, Sadie?
I
Where's the magic box?
I know, there's no magic box. It's true. No,
You don't read
magic
books about box that doesn't have a box.
Yeah.
That's how.
That's
doesn't have
fair.
a box,
That's
yes.
all right. That's a pretty clear reason, right? If it's, yeah.
No box, no business.
The box of it, there you go. There you go. You got a slogan and everything.
Yeah, I will admit I did not finish this book.
Same here.
No.
I didn't finish it.
Yeah. I found it difficult to get into, but I enjoyed kind of the payoff at the end of it. I think what I found with this one. It felt long, but when I got to the end of it, I wanted to keep reading and I wanted to read the next one. It's sort of where I ended with this. So
Yeah, well, as we discover, you have a lot more patience for books than I do. I just couldn't get into it. No thanks. Next.
That's fair.
So,
No box? Nope, nothing.
yeah, nope.
Fair enough. Well, as we said, there is a reader for every book. So hopefully one of the books that we have talked about today is appealing to you and you can find yourself a new author or a new read to enjoy all about heists. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening and watching today. Thank you, Virginia and Corene, as well, for talking all things heist. This is a very fun subject and a lot of fun to read about them. Thanks, everyone. Bye.